Oh, here's I guess so you know who I am. Here's a card.
All right. I think we're okay.
But the classes won't be ready until 9 to go. Okay.
Actually, I don't know if it got communicated to them. Should we do a PA announcement?
Yeah.
Let me double check to see that the stream's coming through before we do.
Although cats have 4 legs.
Cats have 4 legs.
Yeah, I know.
That's true. Los gatos tienen cuatros.
So, Joel, is this a victim that you represented?
That was my daughter who was killed.
God.
Yeah.
Okay, jeez.
Yeah. That's why I do this, and that's why I changed the way I drive.
Got it.
Yeah. Oh, so if I ask the kids, if I go up close to it, let's pretend that this nice young lady is, and I'm talking to a kid. Well, talk, just say something about chemistry or something.
Chemistry is great.
Does that come through as well? Okay, great. So I don't have to necessarily repeat everything they say if they're close to me. Okay, all right.
Mr. Weichert, once we hear the announcement, we can begin.
Okay, all right, cool. Okay, don't talk about, I'll tell them about my daughter.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm probably escaping this
How long do you want it to be?
Doesn't matter.
I mean,
It really doesn't matter.
finish at 10? Does that work for you guys?
Oh, yeah. That's
Okay.
perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Bright lights are on.
I'm not going to be standing here though.
That's okay. That looks
Okay,
good to me.
for you. More for you than me.
1 second.
Thank you guys so much for coming here so I didn't have to talk to an empty room. I really appreciate it.
Did you hear an announcement? No. Yeah, waiting for the announcement.
How long have you been at the school?
Since 2018.
Okay. First school as an admin, or? Okay.
Yeah, I worked at Manheim Central before that.
Yeah.
In Lancaster County.
I'll talk about Manheim if I get a chance here.
Yeah,
Something that happened there.
4 boys were killed in an accident.
That I didn't know about, but I did an event there. Yeah.
What was the event?
It was to mark the increasing the penalty in Pennsylvania from $500 to $1,000 for violating the slow down, move over law.
Oh. In 2010, 4 boys were killed in a car accident. It was, there's like an ESPN video about it, 4 football boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I thought it was more recent than that. You're right. It's been a while.
2010,
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, main office.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Chris, did you make the announcement about Ninth Grade homerooms? Just tell the Ninth Grade homerooms that we are ready to start.
Ninth grade homerooms, we're ready to start the live stream, so please tune in. Ninth grade homerooms, we're ready to start the live stream, so please tune in.
All right. Good morning, Northeastern High School, and thank you guys for joining us. First, I wanted to thank everyone for a little bit of flexibility. We had a little scheduled conflict with our auditorium this morning, so we had to kind of move to Plan B. So appreciate the flexibility. We have our guest speaker today. His name is Joel Feldman, and he will be speaking with everyone in the ninth grades about ending distracted driving. He has a pretty captivating story to tell, so we will pass it over to you, Joel. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, I'm going to talk to you about distracted driving, but let me tell you a little bit about who I am and what I've done for many years. I'm a lawyer from Philadelphia, and for almost 40 years I've represented folks who've been in terrible distracted driving crashes and the families of those who were killed by distracted drivers. I'll just tell you about a couple of the cases I had. One case testimony was from a dump truck driver. This is exactly what he said. I had my hands on the steering wheel. I saw a really hot girl walking into a 7-Eleven. I turned to watch her, and as I did that, my truck went over the double yellow line, hit your client's car, killed their 4-year-old son. I had another case where a school bus driver from Philadelphia driving down I-95 on a school trip to the Baltimore Aquarium was texting, flipped the bus on the highway, it slid down the road, and unfortunately a 9-year-old girl's arm was out the window and she lost her arm. As gruesome as you can imagine. A 20-year-old young lady having yogurt in one hand, the spoon in the other, steering with her knees, went through a stop sign and paralyzed a 17-year-old young man. Despite that, I drove distracted all the time. All the time, even though I'd go into court and I'd argue how bad it was for other people to drive distracted, asking the jury to give a lot of money for my clients, I would still drive distracted. My attitude was, I'm a really good driver. It's okay. But I'd get so angry if I saw you, or anybody in the car next to me driving distracted, because they should be looking at the road for my safety. That's how messed up I was. That's how messed up I was. So that changed when my daughter Casey was killed by a distracted driver. Good. Yeah, that's a picture of my baby Casey. She was killed, and I never say my daughter died. Never. I say she was killed because a 58-year-old man made a choice to take his eyes off the road as he was driving, to reach for his GPS. He rolled through a stop sign. Casey was a pedestrian, almost through the intersection, and his truck, his van, pushed her forward. It wasn't a car, so she didn't go on the hood of the car, pushed her forward, and then the wheels actually ran her over. We got the call to go to the hospital, and a couple hours later, we were told that Casey was dead. And it changed everything in our lives. It would change everything in your family's lives if anything happened to you. And you know, when you guys come in, I look at your faces because My wife says to me, you look at teens today, and I know how you look at them. And I said, well, how do I look at them? You look at them and say, are they going to survive what's out there on the roads today? And maybe that's the way I look at it. But you guys have everything that Casey has in that picture. That picture was taken when she was 18, just about to graduate from high school. You've got a life, you've got futures, great, great, incredible futures. Of course, Casey doesn't have any of that, she's dead. And we can't do anything about that, but I made a commitment with my wife to speak with as many people as I could, particularly teens, although I do speak with adults a lot, about distracted driving. That's what I want to do. And I hate it when people tell me what to do. You guys have lots of people telling you what to do, your moms, your dads, these teachers here, the administrators, no offense teachers, but you guys, I think, can make really, really good decisions. So I'm not going to tell you what to do. We're just going to talk about distracted driving. So when you get your licenses, you'll have some things in mind, and maybe you'll choose, because it is a choice, maybe you'll choose not to drive distracted. My friend over there that I met earlier, do you think you're going to be tempted to look at your phone when you get your license and drive? Yes, she's honest too. I heard she's smart and she's also honest, right? Okay. I'm going to assume all of you are going to be tempted, and I have to give you some reasons that you'll look at it and say, it's not for me. I'm also going to assume that most of you have seen your moms and dads drive distracted, or maybe older brothers and sisters. So that's kind of the environment that you're in. Anybody here been a passenger in a car where you saw your driver and they were kind of looking at the phone a little too much and you're a little nervous? Anybody here? So we got a bunch of hands here. Okay. Do you mind sharing? Was it with mom or dad? Is it okay if we talk about that?
Yeah, it was with Dad, but...
With Dad, okay. So in that situation, do you speak up or do you just keep quiet?
I just kept quiet.
Kept quiet, okay. How about the rest of you? Do you find it's like a little difficult maybe to speak up because you don't have your licenses yet? You may feel that way? Okay, some of you will speak up. I want to just talk to you about ways to speak up with teens and then also mom and dad that have proven really, really effective. Now, it could be if someone's speeding, looking at their phone. It could be any type of dangerous driving. But first, let me ask you this. How many of you in the last month or so have been a passenger in a car where you thought your driver may have had too much to drink? 10 years ago, when I'd ask that question, I'd get a bunch of hands, but no more. You guys have gotten that message, and hopefully your families have as well. Similar question, but different. In the last month or so, how many of you have been passengers in cars where your driver was looking at their phone, whether accessing social media, texting, or things like that while the car was driving? So we have a lot more hands for that. So drunk driving, by your show of hands, is not socially acceptable within the community. We've got a ways to go for distracted driving. And I'm hoping, and I'm optimistic, actually, that you guys can make that happen. All right, so what do you think? Teen to teen, you speak up, you say something. What percentage teens do you think are going to put the phone down if you say something? What's your guess?
45.
45. Who thinks 45%? Who thinks less? Who thinks 65%? Who thinks 90%? It's 90%. Actually, I think it's higher now. Higher now. That was an older survey. More and more it's happening, more and more it's happening. But, what is this? Yeah, how you speak up matters. So, you're my driver, okay? You're Snapchatting, you're on Instagram, I'm really nervous. I have a choice, and I want you to tell me, if you're the driver, what you'd like me to say. What's your first name?
Jaden.
Jaden. Jaden, put the phone down, you're going to kill us both. Or, hey, Jaden, I really care about you, but I feel a little nervous when you drive me and look at the phone. Second one. How many agree that if you were the driver, you'd like it to be the second one? Okay. So what this is in its, it's an example of what we call an I feel statement. Anybody heard about that? I feel statements? Okay. I feel statements are ways to communicate where you don't blame someone for how you feel, you just tell them how you feel. Actually, you think about the first one, sort of like a command. Put your phone down. You'll cause a crash. I'm kind of inviting him to say, no, I won't. I'm a good driver. How do you argue with what someone tells you how they feel? I'll give you another example. Now March Madness is over, but I was staying up and I was watching games and stuff. I would have a snack. I'd have a bowl of cereal or something at night. I go to open up the dishwasher, and there's all clean dishes in there. So I've got a choice to make, right? Unload all the dishes, put them away, and take my dirty dish and put it in the dishwasher, or be lazy and take that dirty dish, stick it in the sink where my wife will find it in the morning. I will admit to each and every one of you, I'm a slob. I hate unloading that dishwasher. So my wife could say to me the next day, you never unload the dishwasher, and I'm going to get defensive. Can somebody give me an example of a statement that she could make starting with I feel about that? What should my wife say? I feel disrespected. Yeah, that works for me. I feel disrespected, and I'm going to feel badly about it. That's what we want you to think about. Now, with respect to moms and dads, they're kind of a hard case, unfortunately. It's not the teens who text and drive and access social media the most. It's actually your parents' generation. Of course, I'm older than your moms and dads, but it's their generation. So we worked with about 500 moms and dads in Michigan a couple years ago. Sole purpose, what do your kids have to say to you so you'll put your phones down? Hands down, it was this one. I feel nervous when you drive me and look at your phone, but we do something sneaky, and I'm okay with it because it works. We slide in there, Mom, Dad, I love you, but I feel nervous when you drive me and look at your phone. Do we have a parent in the room other than me? We have a parent here? Okay, moms. First, how old are your kids or kid?
9 and 6.
If your 6-year-old said to you, Mommy, I love you, but I feel nervous when you drive me and look at your phone, how would you feel?
Like they're just very sad.
Sad?
Yeah.
Embarrassed?
Yeah.
Okay.
That my 6-year-old had to tell me something that
Yeah.
I should probably already know.
You can see that it's going to be effective. And it's, thank you, and it's respectful. We need to be respectful when we're talking to folks, particularly moms and dads. So hopefully you'll try this. Now, why do I show this to you? I show this to you because we're going in the wrong direction in our country. It's just sad, but it's true. And this is the environment in which, in about a year from now, you guys are going to get your driver's licenses. It's really, really dangerous out there. But there's things we can do about it. Anybody here have a little anxiety about one day getting your license? Yeah, and what's the anxiety? What's the source of the anxiety?
It's just the worry that, like, I feel like I'm going to do something wrong, and I know that there's a lot of road ragers and people that don't like paying attention to things.
Okay, you feel like you might do something wrong, and there are people with road rage. Okay, so what I'm hoping, yeah.
I feel like the opposite. I feel like I could do everything right, but there could still be a driver who does something wrong and it's not your fault and you can't do anything about it.
What she said was she feels like she could do everything right and there could be another driver who could cause a crash and there's nothing you could do about it. There is something you can do about it, and that's a perfect lead-in for what I'm going to talk about now. But first off, I've been passing around these pink wristbands. I wear a pink shirt, have a pink water bottle. Pink was Casey's favorite color, and what parents do, we create wristbands in our dead children's favorite colors to remember them. So I'll talk more about that as we go along. But let's talk about what you can do. Well, let's actually talk about this first, kind of why I'm here. It's bad for you guys when it comes to distracted driving. There are still drunk driving tragedies for teens, clearly, but not the way it used to be. More of you are going to be in distracted driving crashes than drunk driving crashes. And those numbers really show us that you're 3 times as likely to be in a crash caused by distracted driving as your parents, and 3 times as likely to die in that crash, unfortunately. So, what do we do? Speed limits. Anybody here ever heard mom and dad say, oh, it's a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. I can go 60 or maybe even 65 and I won't get a ticket? Just raise your hands. Yeah, okay. So let's just think about that. Moms and dads are going to be terribly, terribly frightened when you get your licenses, and they should be. They know these statistics. They know it's the most dangerous thing you'll do, be that teen driver or get in a car with a teen driver. Yet they're telling you, hey, it's okay. You don't have to obey the speed limit. So when you see speed limit signs, I want you to think about it differently. They're there, and I've worked with Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, they're engineers, and they tell me, we set a speed limit so that if something unexpected happens, you can avoid a crash. If you go over the speed limit, you've given up that margin of safety. So don't think about it, no offense, like mom or dad. Think about it in terms of safety. First thing, the GDL restrictions. Those are the restrictions when you first get your license for the first 6 months. You can't drive all night. You have a curfew, and you can only have at the beginning one unrelated passenger in the car. And they found that by giving you that 6 months with not a lot of passengers, keeping you from driving late at night, it saves a ton of teens' lives. So pay attention to those. They're very, very good at saving lives. Focused on the road, we're going to talk about it. Seatbelts, we might talk about that as well. But let's talk about defensive driving here before I go show the crash video. Defensive driving, you will learn, is a way to keep yourself safe even when other people are making mistakes. The way I look at it is, I don't trust anybody on the road. I have a green light. Legally, I can go. It doesn't mean I'm going to be safe. So as I'm going through a green light, I slow down. I look to my right. I look to my left. People who have to have the red light, and I'm expecting them almost to go through the light or the stop sign, and that way I can avoid a crash. It's as simple as that. I drove here, and I was on Route 30 and a couple other roads. I was on the main road. People were merging on the ramps. I don't expect they're going to yield to me, which they should. I expect they won't. So I'll slow down. If I can, I'll move over a lane. We're making predictions about other people's behaviors. Think about this now, right? Okay. Let me tell you about a new case we have, which is tragic. This mom, who had a 2-year-old in the car seat and she was 7 or 8 months pregnant, was waiting to make a left turn. One lane for her, one lane in the opposite direction. She had anticipated making the turn, so her wheel was cut. A guy who was Snapchatting, a 30-year-old, slammed into the back of her, and because her wheel was cut, forced her across the double yellow line into the path of a tractor trailer. Entire family killed. That's an example of not being a defensive driver. We want to anticipate we might get hit from behind, so if our wheel is straight, we still get hit, but we'd be pushed forward. We wouldn't go into the opposing lane of traffic. What do you think you might do as a defensive driver if you're the first car stopped at a red light when the light turns green? What do you think? Yeah.
Wait to see if any cars are going.
Wait to see if any cars are going. You've probably seen people, or maybe your parents, talk about somebody beating a light, going through a red light, that kind of thing. Yes, we don't trust people. Last one. What do you anticipate should happen next? Because this is anticipating what could happen. To kind of answer your question about what you can do, let's say you see a ball bounce across the street in front of your car. What should you anticipate is going to happen next?
A kid's going to run over.
A kid's going to run out in front of you and not look at it. That's what it's all about. So let's watch this crash video. The two cars you can see are going to stop for the red light. The two cars that you see are going to stop for the red light. Behind him is a white SUV. That driver is changing the music on her phone. She's going to unbelievably come right between them, doesn't know that there's a light or isn't even looking, goes into the intersection and causes a crash. I'll run it now. Car from the right, the black car, has the right of way. Black car has the green light. And then just keep looking. There's another camera angle. Same crash, different camera. I'm not even going to talk about the driver of the white SUV because it's obvious. But again, addressing your concern and probably everybody else's concern, well, actually, I'm going to back this up. Why don't I back this up, start again. Now, all of you are driving. All of you are paying attention. All of you are suspicious drivers, right? When you come into an intersection, you're going to slow down and you're not going to trust that the people are going to stop. I bet each and every one of you could have avoided this crash. I don't think the driver of the black car even slowed down. Wide open intersection. I think each and every one of you could have avoided this crash. first lesson for you, first thing I want you to think about is we can't be defensive drivers if we're looking at our phones. And I've been driving now, I just turned 70, so I'm 54, and I've been driving 54 years, since I was 16. Unfortunately, it's the worst I've ever seen out there. And I don't know, maybe the rest of you guys who've had licenses, you might agree that it's bad. People are not paying attention on the road. We have to pay attention. We have to be defensive drivers, and you can't be a defensive driver if you're looking at your phone. Just a quick review of defensive driving. And I'll just tell you this. If you don't speed when you get your license, you drive defensively, and you don't drive distracted, the experts say within weeks of getting your license, your crash risk will come way down compared to your peers. Way down. Don't speed, don't drive distracted, learn to drive defensively. And you can practice defensive driving even before you get your license. Watch mom and dad and see where they're looking as they go through lights. See if they're slowing down, anticipating things that could happen. You can practice that. So, always scanning the road. You can't scan if you're looking at your phone. Speed limits we talked about. I'll just talk quickly about following distance. You'll learn this in driver's ed, but it's a good idea to talk about it now. Most crashes are rear-end crashes. Someone's following too closely. And in the law, even if the person ahead of you slams on the brakes unexpectedly, it's pretty much the driver's fault who runs into the back of a car. So how do you judge following distance? The way you judge it is by the 3-second rule. You're following a car and you see that you pick a fixed object on the side of the road. It could be a telephone pole. And when they start to go by it, you start counting. Count 1, 2. If you count only to 2 before you get there, you're too close. You want to leave 3 seconds between you and the car in front of you. You'll learn more about that in driver's ed. I'm going to play this, and I'm going to be really interested in your reactions. All right. What do you guys think here? What's your reaction to that? What's your reaction?
He shouldn't be doing that.
He shouldn't be doing that. Okay. How might you describe someone who makes that choice? And again, distracted driving is a choice. How might you describe? What adjective might work?
I don't know if it's like,
Ignorant? Ignorant works? That works. Ignorant? How about you guys over here? Scary.
Offensive driving.
Offensive driving. Let's try to look at the person and say, if you make that choice, what does that say about the person?
Not looking.
I heard selfish. I don't know where I heard that from, but I heard selfish.
Not looking out for others' safety.
Not looking out for others' safety. That'd probably be selfish too, right?
For their safety.
Yeah, selfish. Is it responsible?
No.
Might we say it's irresponsible? Okay. I show that same video to parents. I do a fair amount of talks at businesses and conferences, and then these are the total reactions. So again, I show it to kids. I show it to parents. I'm going to click it again. You're going to see the difference in the responses. I've shown it to maybe 20,000 parents. I've never, ever had a parent say anything in the student column. Never happens. Never, ever happens. Just take a moment to look at it and see what you think might be the difference. Same video, different reactions. Anybody here think that before Casey was killed, my daughter was killed, that if you told me my driving was dangerous, I would have stopped driving distracted? No, I wouldn't have, because I didn't think it was dangerous when I did it. What do you think the difference is between the way you guys look at it versus your parents? Anybody have an idea about that? Yeah.
Maybe parents would get like a little bit defensive because they might do it, and now I'm gonna say like it would be this.
So parents get defensive because they might do it. Okay, yeah. I heard a kid last week in Delaware say, my mom's not about to say what she's doing is disrespectful or selfish. So it's the same thought, yeah. The way I look at this, if you had told me before Casey was killed that my driving was dangerous, again, it wouldn't have made a difference for me, but all you're doing really is talk about my driving. If you told me I was being selfish, I was being disrespectful, I was being irresponsible, aren't you to talk about me as a person and my values? That's the way I look at this. So I'm going to invite you guys to think about this. Is the choice to drive distracted consistent with your values? How about respect? I didn't see a banner when I walked in. I normally look for it to see what the school's values are. Pretty much respect is in every respect for others. That's one of the core values. Anybody here? That's one of your core values, respect for others? Okay. You're driving, right? Do anybody here know you? They all know you? Yeah. Okay. Nice guy? Do you think that he tries to show his respect for others? Okay. Probably good to hear that, right? That they say that? It's important to you that others think that you respect others? Okay. I want you to assume that you're driving now. You didn't put your phone on Do Not Disturb while driving. You guys are kids. You know all about your phone more than I'll ever know. But the notifications are coming in. You're looking down. You're looking up. You're looking down. Does that indicate your respect or disrespect for the people you share the road with?
Disrespect.
Disrespect. So if respect is one of your core values, I probably shouldn't have to worry about you when you get your license, right? It would be inconsistent with your values. How about the rest of you? What about being selfish? You want to be thought of as being selfish? No, no one does. You're going to be tempted. You're going to be tempted. And I'm just giving you some reasons to think about why distracted driving may not be for you.
Respect for others, the golden rule. Treating others the way we would like to treat you.
We all want to be treated with respect. That's why we don't like getting distracted. In fact, 88% of surveyed drivers said that their largest traffic safety concern is distracted driving. So doesn't that tell us something about how we want to be treated by others while on the road? Yet 45% of us read text or emails behind the wheel anyway. Isn't it time to practice what we learned as children, especially when driving? Let's end distracted driving. It's a matter of respect.
Have you guys all heard about the golden rule? Treat other people the way you want to be treated? I've never met a person who says they like it when they see someone in the car next to them looking at their phone and not at the road. We know how we want to be treated by other people. We want them to pay attention to the road, not look at their phones. So I've now given you your second reason, perhaps, why maybe you'll decide not to drive distracted. First one, if you're looking at your phone, you can't be a defensive driver. Second one, it may not be consistent with your values, with who you are or who you want to be as a person. Kate, who you meet in here, was the first person I worked with who had killed or crippled someone while driving distracted. I've worked with about 35 people now all across the country. They come to me through the court systems to do their community service hours of their sentence. Some get jail time or kids, juvenile detention facility. Others don't, but they all get community service hours. This is the first time, this was about 3 years after Casey was killed, it was the first time I ever heard anyone use the word selfish to describe distracted driving, and it really resonated with me.
I wasn't texting, I wasn't using a cell phone, but I still killed someone.
I was 17, promising growing up. I was ready to high school. I was excited about the summer and going off to college. I was on my way back from my tennis lesson. I was hungry, so I was looking at my GPS. My car drifted in a breakdown lane on the side of the highway. And I hit a man and I killed him.
response. When I was driving, you know, I had a choice. I could have pulled over to the side of the road just a few seconds. It changes everything. It's just distracted driving is a choice, and it's a selfish one to make.
So I make a point to ask teens what are the best reasons for choosing to drive without distraction. And these are the ones that come up all the time, over and over, and I'm going to talk about each of them. Well, I've already talked about the bottom one, values and selfish. Kate, to this day, and it's been 10 or 12 years since she killed someone, she still thinks about it. She still thinks about she's responsible for killing someone. And the people I've worked with who've killed or crippled others, I make a point to ask them, what's the worst part of this for you? They never say jail time, they never say the loss of a license, they never say the loss of a job, or if it's a student, since they have a conviction, they can't go on to a professional school. What they tell me is this: I want to go back to that day and I want to make a different decision, but I can't. I can never make it right, never. In the Philadelphia area, we have Philadelphia Electric Company, and I do a lot of talks for utility companies. And a couple of months ago, I'm doing a talk, it's over, they have coffee or cookies or something, I'm standing there alone, and a guy comes up to me in his 50s, and he's got tears in his eyes, and all he does is he says a date, June 4th, 1988. 27 years ago, that's the day he killed someone while driving, and he's never gotten over it. So how many people are killed by distracted drivers? It's about 10,000 a year. So since Casey was killed 15 years ago, 150,000 drivers have killed others. 150,000 families mourning a loved one, 150,000 drivers whose lives will never be the same, and there's over 1.5 million drivers who've permanently injured, life-altering injuries for others without killing them. So let's take a look at this one. I want you now to all assume that you're driving, you've had your licenses, you didn't put your phone on Do Not Disturb while driving. I say that often because we recommend that, so you're not tempted to look at a notification. You didn't put your phone on Do Not Disturb while driving. You're driving, you're looking at notifications. You're driving, you're looking at notifications. You look down and hear a sound. You look up, you have no idea what it is. You stop your car, you open the door, you get out, you look around. At first you don't see anything, and then you look under your car, and when you look under your car, you see that little boy's body. He was crossing the street in a crosswalk, and because he was so little, he didn't go on the hood of your car. You sucked him underneath the car. The noise you heard, you were dragging his little body down the road. You didn't kill him. You paralyzed him from the neck down. The neck down, nothing. Nothing with his arms, nothing with his legs, anything. His level of paralysis in his neck was so high, over the last couple of years, he's lost the ability to breathe for himself. He has a tube shoved down his throat, and that's the way he breathes for the rest of his life. In and out, and that's it. And you did that. I know you'd never get over that, never. And there are 150,000 who've killed, more than 1 million people who are sitting with that, living with that, crippling, paralyzing other people, that kind of thing. In the real life story, the 20-year-old who did it, witnesses said they had to scream and yell at her to stop. She didn't even realize she was dragging little Xavier down the road because she was so focused on her phone. So that's a picture of Casey, her little brother, my son Brett. The baby is not Casey's. Casey was killed before she could have a child. You guys are your family's future. You guys. Children are the family's future. There'll be no children from Casey, no grandchildren, so I just tell people that I have 2 children, but only one is still living. Half my family's future is gone forever because of the choice of that distracted driver. That's the toll, that's the cost of the choices we make to drive distracted. It happens really quickly, just a few seconds. So, this warning, you're not going to see bodies, but it's real close. So if that's the sort of thing that gets you upset, it's going to rewind at the beginning, and then you'll have an opportunity, as you'll see it's going along, you could actually close your eyes or look away if you want.
One, say two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10.
How does somebody in broad daylight not see the truck, not see the cones, not see the two employees working to pick them up? Well, they're not looking at the road, they're looking at their phone. You guys probably don't know what it is yet, but we have something in every state called the slow down, move over law. It's not particularly this, but it's close to it. And you'll learn this as you drive. As you're driving down a road, 2 or more lanes in your direction, if you see on the shoulder an emergency vehicle with flashing lights on, you're required, if you can move over lane, to move over lane, leave a free lane between you and the responder. If you can't, if there's too much traffic, you drop your speed by about 20 miles per hour. That's the law in Pennsylvania, to protect responders. And we're talking about responders, we're talking about fire, ambulance, police, tow truck drivers, highway workers, construction workers, utility workers. Flashing lights triggers slow down, move over law. So I'm certainly not fortunate for why I do this, clearly not. But I will say that in the aftermath of Casey's death, at times I do feel very, very fortunate in terms of having the opportunity to speak with you guys. I love speaking with students and meeting people. And I'm in an event in Mannheim, not that far from here. This is as we were coming out of the pandemic. Pennsylvania increased the penalty for violating the slow down, move over law for the second offense to $1,000. And we had 400 or 500 responders, all sorts of flashing lights and sirens. And I'm giving out the pink wristbands, and I see a tow truck. The biggest tow truck I'd ever seen in my life. I mean, it was monstrous. On it, there's a banner. And if you look at the banner, you could see a young man is dead. You see a picture of him, the year of his birth, the hyphen, the year of his death. So I'm giving out the pink wristbands. I give it to a little 5 or 6 year old kid. He points up at the banner, and this is what he says to me. "That's my daddy, he's in heaven." I mean, responders are being killed at record numbers. Probably there's some folks here or listening on the live stream who know people in police, fire service, tow industry, construction, and they'll tell you, and you probably heard, they're being killed in record numbers because of distracted drivers. I mean, the responders are there to take care of us when something goes wrong. They want to get home to their families as well. So let's think about that. Slow down, move over laws. A couple of years ago, I kept hearing from kids, my mom would never get over it if I was killed in a car crash. I hear that more and more and more. What do you think? You think mom would ever get over it if you're killed in a crash? How about you? I can tell you from my wife, she's never gotten over Casey's death. Now, I'm talking about moms and grandmas now. I don't want you for an instant to think that dads don't grieve the loss of their children. We do. I do all the time. Actually, Sunday would have been Casey's 37th birthday. So it's a tough day. It's a really tough day. A tough day for me and my wife. But there is something about a mom who's lost a child that's worse than a dad. And I've worked with probably 40 couples who've lost kids, mostly distracted driving, some impaired driving, some drowsy driving, and the moms always seem to be the worst. Always, always. You can't even put into words what it is. Like, I've gone back to being a lawyer. I do this. I mostly do this. I practice law a little bit, but not that much anymore. My wife is, well, she's not the same person. We were in Target just a couple of weeks ago, and, you know, we're shopping and all, and she looks at me. She's got tears in her eyes, a tear going down her cheek, and I said, "What's up?" She pointed, and there were two moms with their teenage daughters shopping, and she didn't have to say a word. I mean, that's just the way it is, just the way it is. So this comes down to death notifications. How the family is told, how mom is told that you're dead and you're not coming home. We had our death notification in the hospital. We waited and waited and waited, and then two surgeons came in, and they told us Casey did not survive surgery, and that changed our lives. And I remember my wife was asking me about this the other day. Our son wasn't there yet, but he'd gotten the call, and a neighbor of ours was bringing him to the hospital. The hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life is tell my son that his big sister was dead. Yeah. So I do death notification trainings for police officers on the eastern side of the state, and many of them have done death notifications, and they say it's the hardest part of their job. Anybody here have a police in their family? No. Hardest part of their job. Many of them have done death notifications, but to their credit, they want to learn how to do that awful job better. And I ask them, what's your experience, particularly when you're telling parents that their kid is dead? And you think about it. Like, you probably haven't thought about this, but when you get older and older and your parents have lived a full life and they die, that's kind of the natural way that it goes. That's the way it should be. Parents should not be burying children. It's not the way it's supposed to be. It's not the way it's supposed to be. But I asked those people, what's it gone like? And I kept hearing the same thing. The same thing from these police officers telling parents that their kid is dead. So I'm going to tell you what that is now, and I want you to think about mom, grandma. Yeah, think about your dad too, but let's think about mom here. We pull up in the middle of the night. We leave the lights flashing because we're knocking on somebody's door in the middle of the night. We want them to look out the window, see it's the police, and open the door. But we know when your mom, all your moms gets to your bedroom, because once they see the lights, they don't come to the front door. They run to see if you're in bed. And when they see you're not in bed, we hear the scream. Your mother's scream. So many of them described it to me more like an animal than a human being, a scream you'll never forget, and it gets louder and louder. The entire neighborhood hears it. The door opens. We, the police, don't even get a chance to say anything. Your mom's saying, he's dead, she's dead, I know it. She collapses, and she'll never be the same. A lifetime of mourning. The choices you make when you get in cars as a teen driver or as a passenger with another teen driver affect the people who are around you. Now, I work with teens, and I have wonderful teens who, they wanted to be part of our organization, and they're like an advisory board, because, you know, I don't know how you guys think until teens tell me how you think, right? And they said to me last year, we need some videos from moms who've lost children to play to you guys so you can think about your mom or your grandmother. Don't tell my wife I said grandmother here, okay? Because that's my wife's video. But think about that. They wanted me to talk to moms who the worst thing in their life was the loss of their child, to say, hey, would you record a video so we can play it for people to tell them how you're grieving and you'll grieve the rest of your life? That was a hard ask. I only had two who said they'd do it. My wife and another one. I'm not going to play the other one, but I'll tell you the script. My daughter Carrie did a stupid thing while driving. She was using FaceTime, she ran off the road, she hit a tree, and she died. I was the one who had to go on stage for her high school graduation and accept her diploma. I'm the one who congratulates her friends when they graduate, get married, have children, find careers. On the outside, I'm happy for them, but on the inside, I'm dying. I'm dying because it'll never happen for me, it'll never happen for my daughter, because she did such a stupid thing. Anger. Really surprised me, anger at her dead child. Now you hear my wife. To put it into context, the first thing she says, she's going to tell you what Casey's last words were before she lapsed into unconsciousness.
Those were my daughter Casey's last words before she died, after she was run over in a crosswalk by a distracted driver. And I will like Casey with it. My heart aches every single day. So I know how mother would suffer if we were to crash. Never recover. You have the power to make your mom suffer. Thinking of being while driving.
Think of your mom. She's worth it. What psychologists do sometimes with clients to measure where they are and their motivation is they'll ask them questions on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 not being very important, 10 being really important. So I'm going to ask you guys on a scale of 1 to 10, how many of you are an 8 or 9 or 10 with respect to thinking about not driving distracted to keep your mom from going through this? So we got a bunch of hands here. Okay, great, great. I've never heard a kid tell me, I don't want to be killed in a crash. This is what I hear. You don't want to be crippled. And it's really surprising to me, but maybe it isn't. Maybe it isn't. So I want to talk to you about seat belts. You've learned all about seat belts. I want to tell you about a couple of cases I've had. Crash dummies, rear seat crash dummy, unrestrained. You're going to see him, it, whatever, slam into the back of the driver's seat, bounce off, and there's no glass in this test car, but if there was, head would have gone right out through the sunroof. I had a case like that on I-95 in Philly, a 17-year-old exactly like that, bounced off the driver's seat, head went through the sunroof, got halfway out the car, and then the car rolled 3 or 4 times down I-95. I mean, grisly, awful death case. 2 things I want you to think about. Hopefully you all wear your seat belts. Many kids will tell me if it's a short trip or I'm on the back seat, I don't. Hopefully you reconsider looking at this. You're going to see the driver's seat back break. Seats are not designed to withstand the force. It's like a missile hitting it. And a driver who is properly restrained, and you'll see the airbag deploy, will still be very, very badly injured. So wear your seat belts in the back, but you as the driver, to protect yourself, make sure when you start to get to that stage where you can have a bunch of kids in the car, turn around, look, make them put their seat belts on for your protection. Watch how this seat back breaks. And it's just a 35-mile-per-hour crash. Injuries sustained by this are crippling injuries. Paralysis, permanent brain injury. Anybody have any questions? Anybody has, yeah.
At what age do you think people should be allowed to have a license?
At what age do I think people should be allowed to have a license? You know, it's interesting. I do stuff out west, and at 15 they can have a license, which I think is way too young. I think you should be able to get your learner's permit, your permit where you drive with mom and dad at 16, but I don't think kids should have a license till they're 17. I know that probably disappoints you guys, but that's what I think now. Thanks for that question. Anybody ever heard any excuses for somebody why they're texting or looking at social media or programming the GPS while moving? Anybody heard any excuses? Anybody give you any excuses for it? What are some of the excuses? What have you heard? Really important to have to take care of it. After Casey was killed, I was so afraid that a judge would be angry at me because I didn't respond, because you have to give the judge your cell phone number. And I have Do Not Disturb on my phone. You guys know what that all is, right? And so it would create a message, hey, I'm driving. When I stop and it's safe, I'll get back to you. I had a handful of judges. Now, of course, they're older. They didn't know what it was, and everyone was in support of it. I also have made 2 911 calls in my life. Those are important calls. The rest of them, they're not so important, but that's a big one. Anybody else think of an excuse? Yeah. I don't want my parents to be mad if I don't respond. We're going to talk about that. That's a great one. I'm glad because you'll remind me about that. Anybody else? Anybody have a big brother or sister who drives distracted? Brother or sister? Sister. What might her excuse be?
Well, one time she was trying to like turn up the radio and she flipped her car over.
Oh, she was trying to turn up the radio. She flipped her car over. Yeah, that's bad. I agree with that. Yeah. All right, so these are the excuses that we hear. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, you can't see the bottom one, but the bottom one is, it's an important text or call. Where did I get these from? The people I work with who killed or crippled other people from the court system, I ask them. And I got this list. State Farm Insurance Company came up with a list as well. It's pretty much the same. They did a survey. So I want to take you to the courtroom where the man who killed my daughter, he's sentenced, he leaves the courtroom. A woman comes up to me, she introduces herself, it's his wife. I remember I really didn't want to talk to her. I mean, this is the wife of the man who killed my daughter, but she didn't kill my daughter. And she said, may I speak with you? And I was polite, I said, sure. And I get the rest of this from my sister-in-law who was there with me that day. She was talking to me and it was going well, and then all of a sudden she said to me, the second one, he only looked away for a few seconds. I tell you, I was shocked. But my daughter's dead. My daughter is dead and she's not coming back, and he only looked away for a few seconds? Again, I know she didn't intend anything, but it hit me the wrong way. Could you imagine? You've killed someone, you're in the courtroom, and you tell the family that's grieving one of these excuses? And again, the bottom one is, it's an important text or call. You can't see it here, but could you imagine what that would be like? There are 6 excuses. 5 you can see, the 6th at the bottom. 6 into 150,000 people killed since Casey was killed is 25,000. So I want each and every one of you, because you're going to be tempted, if you're thinking, hey, it's an important text or call, I want you to add to that, it's an important text or call and it's killed 25,000 people. It's just a few seconds and it's killed 25,000 people. I was only changing the music and it's killed 25,000 people. I'm a great multitasker and it's killed 25,000 people. So you now know the excuse that killed Casey, just a few seconds. And I've already told you about the pink wristbands. So let me show you what I have here. As I said before, parents, we create. Actually, I don't even have one of Casey's on. I gave it away. We create wristbands in our children's favorite colors to remember them. I've never gotten a wristband from your dad. It's always your mom. And they're sobbing and crying, and I could look at each and every one of these and remember. But excuses, just a few seconds. I'm a safe driver. It was an important text. I was only changing the music, just a few seconds. This, I don't know what color you call this, lime green, I don't know what it is, this color here. Megan, 8.5 months pregnant, she and her unborn child were killed. I believe it was, I'm a great multitasker. That was the excuse. Any excuse you can come up with, I've got a wristband for it. Any excuse. So the lawyer in me wants my jury, and that's you guys, when you go into the jury room to decide the case, whether you will drive distracted or not, and that jury room is your cars, the lawyer in me wants you to have an image. I don't know if this is the better image or what we have on the screen. That's what I want to come into your mind when you're tempted to drive distracted. Well, you have an expressive face. What are you thinking when you look at all these wristbands?
It's sad.
Yeah, it's really sad, really sad. We don't want any more wristbands. No more wristbands. And I have one here. He was the distracted driver, so I don't know his excuse. His mom gave it to me. He ran off the road, and they looked at his phone, and he was in the middle of Instagram. Parents had agreed to let their kids be part of a research project to put a camera in the car looking at the kid's face in the road. That's what you're seeing these little clips of. Before Casey was killed, I was a lucky driver. Before Casey was killed, I was a selfish driver. You guys are going to have to make a decision when you drive. Are you going to be lucky drivers or safe drivers? Selfless drivers or selfish drivers? I already talked about all this before. Just real quickly, we asked 1,000 parents what the strongest deterrent to them driving distracted would be. And this is what we came up with. You guys, 87%, tied with Laws, 87%. So when it's mom or dad, remember the languages. Mom, dad, I love you, but I don't feel safe when you drive me and look at your phone. Please, please, please try that out. It's a respectful way of telling mom and dad how you feel. If you have a little brother and sister, I'm going to ask you, if your moms and dads drive distracted, to tell your little brothers and sisters that even though mom and dad drive distracted, we don't drive distracted. And when I'm with moms and dads, sometimes I do events at schools, and we used to have no parents come when we said learn about distracted driving. So we changed the title, Learn About Distracted Driving to Keep Your Teens Safe. And we have a lot of parents come. And they think I'm going to talk about your driving. I talk about their driving. And this is what I'll do. This is the lawyer in me. I like to trap people. Moms and dads, raise your hands. Moms and dads, keep your hands up if you would do anything to keep your children safe. Now only keep your hand up if you haven't driven distracted with your kid in the car. Every hand will come down, every hand. Do you know that, I think it's called a Cozy Coupe. It's that red and yellow kids car with the domed roof. Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. I have a volunteer. I have lawyers all across the country who do our program and volunteer to go into schools. Jason, he calls me up a couple of months ago. He says, I want to tell you something really embarrassing, but you should hear it. I said, what? They got their 5-year-old this Cozy Coupe car. Their kid had a tantrum. He didn't want to drive the car until Daddy gave him his cell phone. He wanted to drive just like Daddy. If you have grown up in a household with a distracted driver, you're twice as likely to also drive distracted, so you have to think about that. Think about that. I think we're about at the end time-wise. I'm not sure when you want me to stop talking. It's...
Whatever you think.
You tell me. No, you tell me. Can I take 5 minutes to wrap up?
Yes.
Okay. Or some questions. Anybody have any questions? So, anxiety about the other drivers. Yes, you should have the anxiety about other drivers because it's nuts out there, but there's things you can do. You feel maybe a little bit better because of that? Okay. Anybody here can think of all the reasons I gave you? How many of you think that mom might be the most important reason not to drive distracted? Okay. How many think so that you don't kill someone and have to live with that? Okay, so that's a big one here. Okay. All right. So, Pennsylvania last year became a state.
You're good.
Okay. Pennsylvania became the last state around this part of the country to go to a hands-free law. You guys have probably heard that, or you will hear about it. So basically it means you can't hold the phone in your hand. Police officers can stop you if they see you and give you a ticket. Some people think, okay, if I'm hands-free, it's safe. Anybody have any thoughts about that? Is hands-free driving totally safe? You're shaking your head first right away. Why not? You can get distracted on the phone call. Let me show you the, I'm not going to show you that video. I'm going to go right through this stuff here. Let me show you this one. This is a study from Canada. You see those little round things? They're special cameras. What they did is they looked at the person's face and they're looking for one thing, scanning. So you guys can tell I'm scanning the road now. I'm looking back and forth. You'll learn it's really important. I'm also scanning now eye glances. A regular camera might not pick it up, so they had those cameras. So the researchers looked at 170 drivers. The control group on the left they weren't doing anything. Half the windshield they would scan. The experimental group on the right, they were having hands-free Bluetooth conversations, no scanning, tunnel vision. They've repeated it for, I'll get it wrong, but what, Apple CarPlay, voice texting through the infotainment system? I mean, I know how to do that. I don't do it when I'm driving, but I know how to do that. So they've repeated, we don't scan when we're having a conversation with someone remote from the vehicle. They found if we have a conversation with someone in the car, it's not so distracting. There's something about trying to anticipate what someone outside of the car will say. We concentrate harder on it. Driving is cognitively demanding. We're thinking, you know, just imagine, we're looking at things, they're changing, the steering wheel, turn signals, defroster, our brain telling us to put the brake on, put the accelerator on, look in the mirrors, very cognitively demanding. When we add another cognitively demanding task, having a conversation with someone remote from the vehicle, it overloads our brain. We have no control over it. Our brain shuts down our scanning. So, I want to come back to that question that was raised. Well, the excuse is my mom and dad require that I answer them when I'm driving. I hear that a lot. I've done talks with moms and dads who were the last phone call or the last text that their kid had. Can you imagine that? Knowing that your kid's been in a crash and you're talking to your kid via text or on the phone. So this is what we recommend for you. You initiate the conversation with mom and dad. Hey, I arrived at school, I'm safe. I'm at my friend's house, I'm safe. I'm leaving my friend's house, that kind of stuff. Be it that way. Now, if your moms and dads insist that you have to communicate with them when you're driving, I'm going to tell you to do something that's illegal for you and that kind of like a little queasy for me, but I think it's a better solution. Make sure that it's not texting. You now know hands-free phone conversations are not risk-free. You're allowed to in Pennsylvania. You guys can't for the first 6 months of your driving. You can't use the phone at all, even hands-free. But if your mom and dad insist, tap it, answer the call. Hey, here I am. I'm safe. I'll get back to you, and get off the phone. Don't hang on the phone, okay? That's what I would suggest. Don't be in a texting conversation with them. My wife, and I don't have time to show the video, but my wife says in the ending of a video, what will it take for us to change the way we drive? We made that about 10 years ago, and to be honest with you, we had no idea. And she says it in frustration but grief. Today I know the answer, and I'm looking at the answer. I'm so optimistic today that young people are changing the way we all look at distracted driving. Whether it's not consistent with your personal values, you don't want to be that distracted driver, whether it's to be a good role model for friends and family, whether it's so we don't kill someone, whether it's because it's the right thing to do, whatever it is, I'm confident and I hope you guys will make the right choice. With that, I'm just going to leave all these wristbands. I don't know who'll take them or give them out. And then, anybody have any questions? Anybody have any thoughts, comments, anything? All right, well, I appreciate you guys here, and I appreciate all the folks live streaming. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. What we do here. Got that here. Plug me in. There's 3 different sizes. So, yeah, this is kind of like a large. These are the medium, and these are the large here. Thank you. You're welcome. Yep.
Do we have
We're gonna give them to my mom's classroom. Like, a few.
Sure, these are the small ones, and these are kind of
What do
like
you
the
think they need? The seniors. How many do you want?
probably. Well, take a bunch. Take a bunch. It's fine with me. I don't want to take. I have some extra large ones here. I don't know if that works.
I want an extra one.
Okay, here. There's a couple.
Thank you.
Yep. That's the small one. You probably be better off with one of these, I think. Yeah. You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm just going to leave these here. I don't. Bring them to the office?
Yeah, that's probably better.
Okay. They can give them to Chad. Okay. All right. Yep, you're welcome. Odd. Odd, odd, odd. It's odd. I don't really know. Hold on.
Okay, I'm not sure.
All right, thank you. This is mine. Yes, it is a nice one.
I like it.
Yeah, thank you.
That's my color.
Thank you.
Yep, my too.
You like pink?